People call me a witch. Zirachi. Every man that tries to marry me dies. Every man who falls in love with me dies. Sobbing and crying is Zirachi, a woman of diverse fate. Zirachi had been married once previously and has had numerous boyfriends, but all of them passed away 3 months into their relationships. Zirachi's neighbors are all afraid of her. Everyone I meet refers to me as a witch. They claim that I devour their bodies and take their lives. Yes, you heard that right. 5 men who loved her, not 1, not 2, but 3 had died. Frightened. It seems she is a witch and knows what she is doing. That is why she takes every man, steals their luck, and then takes their life. The people of the village gossip. But why does every man who loves her die? Is she really a witch like people say? And how do the people who live near her act around her? My name is Zirachi, which means send God to do anything for you and it will be done in our local language. It's difficult for me to talk about myself. Because of the experiences I've had, sharing my life story is difficult. But these days I'm simply a regular lady. I'm single, childless, and without a husband. Zirachi's narrative begins in her early years. She has everything a child needed to grow up healthily because she was born into a wealthy family. Like most of us, she attended elementary school before moving on to secondary school. We get to know different people at school and begin to consider our career goals. In this sense, Zirachi's life was not unlike many others. Growing up, Zirachi took the typical route as many do, considering starting her own family. But as she got older, something unexpected happened that surprisingly changed her life. I have to admit that I find it hard to talk about this. When I was younger, I used to go out with boys for pleasure, but like most people, I wanted to find love, get married, have kids, and establish a stable family. But in this case, luck was not on my side. My first boyfriend and I were madly in love for 2 months after we first met. We got married shortly after and had a lavish wedding. We were thrilled together, but my spouse died a month later. It was a regular day. He woke up and went to work, but tragically, he was in a serious accident and died instantly. Everyone understands how painful it is to lose someone you love deeply. After Zirachi's husband passed away in an accident, she didn't blame anyone. She thought it was a component of God's design. Zirachi endured a really trying period, but she persevered. After bidding her husband farewell, she set out to start a new life for herself. My life became really challenging after that, and I began to lose my happiness. It was difficult to accept, but over time, I gradually rediscovering happiness. I later met a new man who showed me concern. When I started to feel anything for him, I was by myself, and eventually, he became my fiancé. We were going to begin a life together 3 months later. He passed away from a sickness. At this point, I really started to feel scared because this was the second time something like this had happened. But on the other hand, I didn't blame myself because we never had a big argument before he passed. There was hope and good moments in every new relationship that began. Although there were aspirations of starting a family together, each relationship ended abruptly and left many unresolved issues. Every relationship, from the first to the second, terminated in a way that was difficult to comprehend. She was devastated by this and began to doubt her faith. It was as though each tale had a somber and enigmatic conclusion, making it difficult for her to comprehend why events transpired as they did. I started to worry deeply, wondering if I was cursed or if there were problems in my family history. I became really scared because of what kept happening. A third man came into my life and we started dating. He really loved me, but he too passed away after 3 months, and the same thing happened with the fourth man I dated. I began to question many things about myself. I was confused about why I was experiencing these experiences, so it was like watching a movie. We didn't seem to have any issues and we were all in love, but once they all passed away, I started to question whether dating them had somehow made it my responsibility. After that, even though I wasn't the reason behind anyone's death, I made the decision to quit dating as it felt like I was the reason behind people's hurt. Since they had entered my life, It seemed as though they were passing away. She took some time to settle down and focused a lot of her time on non-romantic pursuits after making the decision to never date again. As they say, no one can escape something that is meant to happen to them. The further he got away from it, the more it became worse. I tried my best not to fall in love again. I managed to stay single for a while, but it was only for a short time before I really started to live my own life. I had a strange feeling that there was something wrong with me after whatever happened. I began to come to the realization that perhaps I shouldn't continue to believe that I was the root of all the issues after living alone for many years without a family or kids. I began seeing a new guy last year, the fifth guy, and we lasted for 3 months. This time I felt like I had enough time to heal and get ready, so everything would be all right. For 3 months our relationship was going well, and everything seemed ideal. I had no doubt that everything would go well this time. After our wedding, everything appeared to be going fine, but my husband reported having a headache a few days later. We went to bed one night, we went to sleep, but his condition got worse during the night. We decided to go to the doctor, but tragically, my husband passed away on the way there. This time, Zirachi was very upset because she understood that what she thought was normal was actually a very big problem. She had no children, no husband, no family, and she felt like she had no reason to live. However, she made a choice that has significantly improved her life up to this point because she was a strong woman. Though it didn't address every issue she faced, it was the most suitable resolution for her. She was able to deal with issues both known to her and unknown to her thanks to her choice. I buried him the same way I had the others, but I could not continue to live that way. I was unable to solve the issues endangering my life on my own, so at that point I decided to turn to religious authorities for assistance and grow closer to God. I had a hard time handling what people were saying because they all put the blame for the tragedy on me. But because I turned to God, He provided support through a man at the church I attended. This man helped me with everything, even though life remained tough for me. Pastor Thomas is my name, and Zirachi is one of our new members. She was new to the church when I began to know her. She confided in me about all of her problems, and I advised her that the best thing I could do was to assist her in growing closer to God. Zirachi was terrified in many of the difficult situations she encountered, particularly since all of her fiancés died soon after they were engaged. This caused many individuals, even those who knew her well, to become fearful of her. Occasionally, she starts to feel optimistic, but things don't end up working out. I keep encouraging her to keep praying and believing in God. We are hopeful that despite her difficulties, she will find peace and freedom because we believe God can change any situation. She has daily support and encouragement from Pastor Thomas, both at church and at home. Zirachi is a diligent worker, but due to her unlucky marriage search, she now spends a lot of time in church praying. She thinks that by doing this, she will discover the solution. She hopes that, as a religious person, her prayers will enable her to rediscover the bliss she formerly enjoyed. She is aware, nevertheless, that she must be resilient and patient at all times. I am trying to focus on praying a lot, but it is hard because of the problems I am facing. People everywhere are calling me a witch, from the families of the guys I dated to my neighbors and everyone I know. They blame me for their deaths, but I am not a witch, and I don't understand these accusations. I've occasionally considered giving up on life because I'm feeling so miserable and unfortunate. But I've come to know that's not the answer. I made the decision to give my life to God, and I've been asking Him for a miracle. It's unusual for me to genuinely feel at ease with myself sometimes. This gives me hope that God is easing my suffering. I believe that one reason women may experience issues such as these is that, on occasion, they may be overly proud, particularly if they believe they are attractive. This pride might make them feel they are better than others and don't need to rely on God. This attitude can also make people around them jealous. Even though some people don't believe it, dark spirits are real. It's possible that someone who doesn't like you could use this to ruin your life. As a devout Christian, I counsel women and others to maintain a humble attitude and a personal relationship with God. Having a relationship with God is the strongest defense against these kinds of issues. How do I respond to those who label me a witch or blame me for the trouble I and others are going through? I would like to clarify that I have never had the intention of hurting any boyfriend. I've been accused, but I tell other people not to pass judgment. People sometimes need encouragement rather than judgment while they are going through difficult times. I kindly want you all to pray for me so that God can assist me in resolving this issue and permitting me to start a family. I also want to express my gratitude to everyone who has been there for me throughout this trying period. Let's all wish Zirachi the best. Her experience demonstrates to us that even when something is not your fault, you can experience a lot of hardship and intense sadness. But maintaining your strength and faith is what really counts. Recall that nobody should have to face their lowest points by themselves. Let's support, understand, and offer prayers to one another. Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share.